Good morning, everyone. To those of you that have been with us for a long time already learning our daily WhatsApp, and to those that are joining us for the first time, we're embarking on a new Sefer today called Nidchei Yisrael, written by the saintly Horowitz, who was in his generation the Gadol Hador, the leader of the generation, the tzaddik of the generation, perhaps the greatest Talmid Chacham of the generation, in so many areas of Torah and of mitzvahs and of Yiras Shamayim. We've already learned biographies about him so that we should explain his greatness and the grandeur and the glory of his Torah and his leadership over Klal Yisrael. So we're not going to go into the biographical sketch. I just want to share one idea about this Sefer Nidchei Yisrael. The Horowitz himself lived from 1838 till 1933. So he lived through wars, World War I, and he was right, he passed away on the cusp of World War II. In the year of 1884, which means he was 46 years old at the time, the Horowitz saw, as we will learn in this Sefer, that there was a trend that was taking place in Europe. And that was that young men and women and mishpachas and families that grew up in shtetl life, that grew up in a very insulated, beautiful, pure world of the European shtetl, where Torah and mitzvahs and kedusha and holiness and sanctity was supreme, where the influences of the outside world were very, very limited, what kind of effect they could have on the Jewish people there. They suddenly began hearing about the golden Medina, the country of gold, which was America and other places, as we will see, as the Horowitz is going to write throughout the world. And they decided that the life of poverty and difficulties and wars and the anti-Semitism and the pogroms and the hardships that it meant to live in the European lands was no longer worth their lives. And they decided that it was time to move on. And they boarded boats and they took the long, arduous journey, and they ended up in America or in South America or South Africa or in England. And they tried to restart their lives over there with the hope of bringing in the money and the parnasa and the livelihood and becoming rich people. And the Horowitz saw this as being a major threat to the continuity and the eternity and the kedusha of Klal Yisrael. They were going to these far-flung countries that were very underdeveloped in Yiddishkeit. We cannot imagine. We're living here in America. We have schools, we have shuls, we have Beis Yaakovs, we have yeshivas, we have mikvahs, kosher markets. You name it, we have it over here. In the 1800s, 1884, when this Sefer was written, there was nothing at all. We're talking about 142 years ago in America. It was a ghost town of Yiddishkeit at that point. And the Horowitz knew that the Jews are going to be in big trouble when they get there. How is a Yid from the shtetl going to be able to keep kosher? How's he going to keep davening? How's he going to put on his tefillin? How's he going to keep Yom Tov? How's he going to build a sukkah? How's he going to remain strong in his emunah and his faith of what it means to be a Jew, of how central the Torah is to the life of Klal Yisrael, of how meaningful the mitzvahs are and how meaningful they could be in a person's life, and how they could be the defining factor of what a person's life as a Jew is all about. And therefore he, in his deep concern for Klal Yisrael, as we find with many of his works, his bleeding heart of rachmanis, of mercy, of compassion over the state of affairs of Klal Yisrael, he took pen to hand and he wrote, at the age of 46 years old, a masterpiece called Nidchei Yisrael, which literally means the outcast ones of Klal Yisrael, the dispersed ones of the Jewish people, who are no longer in their homeland, no longer in their protective places where they could express their Yiddishkeit in a way that was run for generations on end. And now they are in the four corners of the universe, far away from home, far away from the source of all of their ruchnias, their spirituality and their kedusha, and they must learn how to live as a proud and a committed and a dedicated Jew, no matter what the conditions and circumstances are going to be. And so the Horowitz wrote this Sefer for Klal Yisrael in that generation, but I think as we will begin to examine our times, we will see how relevant the words of the Horowitz are for us as well. and that is that we are still far flung from a Beis HaMikdash. We are distant from the land of Eretz Yisrael. We are far away from what a Jew is really supposed to look like and how we should live our lives and protect ourselves on all sides from the hashbais, from the influences of the world around us. And therefore these timely words of the Horowitz Chaim, remember he was a man that was living with Ruach HaKodesh. He had divine inspiration. His words were not just for the year 1884. They're for the year 2026, Tav Shin Pei Vav and beyond. That means that every Jew in every place where they will find themselves will be able to appreciate the eternal words of the master of his love of Klal Yisrael, the Horowitz Chaim, Zeichet Tzadik Kodesh Livracha, and in Mitzvah Hashem, as we embark upon the Sefer, it should give us the koyach, it should give us the strength, the inspiration, the determination, and the commitment that is deep in the lave and the heart and the soul of each and every one of us to live our lives as the Jews that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to, whether you are in Me'esharim, Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh, or you are in a place called Tarzana, California, or perhaps you are somewhere in Johannesburg, South Africa, or you are in Argentina, in South America, or you are somewhere in France or in England or anywhere across the world. The Torah is eternal. The Torah is not bound by land, by space, by shape, by form, by time. The Torah spreads out everywhere in the world, and when we grab onto that and we connect with that and we make it what our life is really all about, we could survive as Torah Yidden anywhere, of course with the great hope that in the schus of our our steadfast efforts to serve the Ribbono Shel Olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring us home to the Beis HaMikdash Shlishi, the third and the final Beis HaMikdash in Eretz Yisrael in Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh B'imheira V'yameinu Amen. Have a wonderful day.